Hi everyone, this is Maria from the Planting app. I'm really happy to see you back on our channel. And today we have a video for you guys about how to care for these beautiful and gorgeous poinsettias that are very common and very often planted during Christmas time, during the festive season. But a lot of the times these are getting thrown away after the Christmas time, as the care for them is not one of the easiest. And it is sometimes difficult, but very, very possible to have them as a plant that blooms every single year for you. If in any of the point of the video you're gonna get a little lost, please wait until the end of the video and we're gonna have a little gift for you. A lot of people actually don't know this, but the white and the red parts of this plant are not actually its flowers, but they're called bracts. And these are the parts of the flower that attract the pollinators. And the flower are actually these little small ones inside. It's just a little interesting fact. And without further ado, let's jump straight to the point. How to care for these beautiful plants, what to do with them during the Christmas season, after you're just taking them home from the shop, what to do with them during spring, during summer, during autumn, and how to get them to rebloom. First of all, we're gonna start with the first step, that you just got the poinsettia and what to do with it. So after you take it home from the shop, what you want to do is, if it came in a foil, you want to remove the foil. And the next one that you want to do is to take it out and check for the roots, whether they're white, and if there's any brown or black, you most likely do not want to buy this plant because it will not last you long, as there's a root rot. So that's number one. The second one, check if your pot has drainage holes, because it's very important for poinsettias not to sit in the water. And if it does, like this one over here, then you're good. If your pot does not have drainage holes, then you want to drill some or maybe repot it into the one that has. And now this step is kind of optional, but I'm gonna put it into a beautiful pot just for the aesthetic pleasure of it. So now that it's done, let's talk about the part how to actually care for a poinsettia so it stays in your home nice and bright and with these bracts flowering and being there for you until March or even April if you take really good care for it. So the first one is the watering. So this plant does not need a lot of water, so what you want to do is check once in a while whether the top layer of the soil feels dry. If you're not sure about it, you can stick your finger about 1 inch deep into the pot, and if it feels dry, then you should water it. If it's not, then wait a little bit more. Usually watering would be once every few days. It depends also on the size of the pot. The smaller pots require more watering more often, the larger one a little less often. The most important part for the poinsettia though is to not keep it in the standing water. So if you water it too much, and then it has no place where to drain that water out, it's gonna die pretty soon because this plant is very likely to have root rot and it's very easily getting that all the time. In terms of the spot where you want to keep it in your place, choose a spot that has a lot of sunlight, not necessarily direct one, but definitely a lot of light, and then make sure you're keeping it out of the cold and out of too much heat. And it does love the humidity, so if you don't have the humidifier working in the room, or if you just have a lot of heating, then definitely mist it once every few days to bring up the humidity and to help it thrive. It is also recommended to use all-purpose fertilizer on it once every 2 weeks. So pretty much if you follow these instructions, your poinsettia, the gorgeous plant, will stay red and beautiful most likely until March or maybe even April. And after that you will notice it's going to drop its leaves in the early spring, and then it's time for different steps in poinsettia care. So step number one is checking the root color. It's already around March and it's time to see if your poinsettias are actually worth saving at all for next year. And the first step to do that is to check the root color. The way you're gonna do that is taking your poinsettia out of the pot and looking at the roots. So you're gonna look for wide and healthy roots, and that means that the poinsettia is worth saving for next year. If the roots are brownish or even black, then it probably has the root rot and you can just throw it away, and most likely it's not gonna last you until next Christmas. So now the step number 2 is you're gonna have to prune the poinsettia about 50 to 60% back. So the best way to do it is to cut the first leaf node that comes out of the main branch. You're basically gonna have to cut off most of the leaves, but don't worry, this is the way you're actually creating more room for the plant to grow for the next year, and you're kind of setting the frame for it. I would recommend wearing the gloves through the whole process because the sticky sap that comes out of the cuttings can cause skin irritation. So now that your poinsettia is really tiny, these are the next steps that you're gonna need to do to keep it alive. Now your plant will not require a lot of water at all. Basically, in the plant, there is the root ball where all of the roots are located. You're gonna have to let the root ball to dry out completely before you water it again. Basically, half a cup of water once every 2 weeks is gonna be good enough. And also during this period, you don't need to feed this plant any fertilizer whatsoever. Just leave it like that, water it once in a while a little bit, and you're good for the next few months. So around 2 months later, after you did the pruning, it is time for you to repot your plant into a smaller pot. Usually you want to go one size smaller from the one that you have already. So for example, if your pot was 6 inches, you want to repot it in 5 inches and so on. The important thing is that your new pot has drainage holes, like these ones over here. So the poinsettia will not be sitting in the water after you water it because it hates being in the water and the roots will rot really quickly. For repotting your poinsettia, you want to take a loose, well-draining soil. It's going to be good if it's a mix of regular all-purpose soil with some drainage, maybe with perlite, with anything like that. A pre-mixed and pasteurized potting mix will do just fine as well. And you can also use the soil that is meant for succulents. So for this one, you want to carefully take out the plant and tease the roots to remove extra soil, also to check for any brown roots or any rotten roots, and if you notice those, the important thing is to cut them off with a sharp knife preferably. So now after you've done that, put some of the drainage on the bottom of your new pot, just like this. Stick the poinsettia into the smaller pot, press it, pat it down, and I'm just gonna also put it into a nicer little pot over here, just like that. After you're done with repotting, water the plant thoroughly. And you're gonna leave it like that for more or less mid of September, beginning of October, when you're gonna have the next step of your poinsettia care journey to get it to rebloom for the next Christmas, when you're gonna have to create shorter days and longer nights for it. And let's get to this step right now. So now step number 5 is following the light requirements, creating short days and long nights for the plant to actually get it to flower for Christmas, because you're gonna have to force it. And don't get weirded out by the box, because it's here to show you how to do that. So basically it's around late September, beginning of October, you need darkness. So from 12 to 15, 16 hours of complete darkness you need to create for your poinsettia. You can put it in a dark closet or maybe put it in a dark corner in your room, but you have to make sure that during those 12 to 15 hours, not even a string of light will come in through. So for example, if somebody opens a door, it's already rather a no. To make this process easier, I, for example, recommend putting the box on the plant after you've come home from work in autumn time, and then in the morning before you leave to work, you will pick it up and leave it to the sunlight for the time of the day. And then once again, when you come back, you're gonna cover it. It's gonna stay like that the whole night. And then in the morning, you're gonna lift the box again and expose your poinsettia to the regular daylight. Usually this timing means that around Thanksgiving you should be done with this routine, and then you should also reduce watering, and it's going to be recommended to fertilize it once again. And as a step 6, it loves the same type of temperatures as we like at home, about 60 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So, from January to March, the goal of this period is to keep the plant blooming as long as possible. You want to do that providing the plant enough light, which means around 7 hours of daylight throughout the time. Keep the good temperature, water it regularly when you feel the top of the soil being dry, and fertilize it once per 2 weeks. Then when March comes and you're going to see that the plant is already droopy, dry, and the leaves are not there anymore, you're going to prune it, stop fertilizing, and reduce watering. Then in May, you're going to repot your poinsettia into a smaller pot. During June and July, you can put your plant outside into a bright spot, but not the one that has a lot of direct sunlight, to keep up with the watering and the fertilizing. If you did put your plant outside, you want to move it back inside in the mid-September, and you're going to start forcing darkness around end of September, beginning of October, and do that for a few weeks, more or less until Thanksgiving. During this period, you're also reducing watering and fertilizing and decreasing the temperature that it's in to 60 Fahrenheit. November and December is the time when you should stop doing the night and day treatments, and you're gonna move the plant back into the sunny spot with at least 6-7 hours of daylight and sunlight. And finally, you should be happily enjoying your flowering and blooming poinsettia during the next Christmas season. So, in conclusion, it is indeed a lot of work and a lot of steps to remember, but hopefully there is a thing that will make your life easier, and it's our app. Basically, the way you do it is that you open up the app and then you take a picture of the plant, you scan it, and it shows you that it's a poinsettia plant, and you can get a care plan. It's gonna give you all of the information that you need, and you can also adjust and custom your notifications to get information when you should do what kind of step in your poinsettia care. And coming back to the gift that I was talking about in the beginning of the video, you can also download a free PDF with all of this information that I've talked about in the video about how to care for it step by step. That's gonna make your life easier, that you can also have on your hands all the time in case you forgot something or you just want to look it up. And that is all from me for today. Thank you so much for being with me in this video. If you're a plant enthusiast, want to become a plant hero, join our plant family, and we will happily be here through this journey with you. Let us know in the comments if you have any kind of plant related questions. We will be happy to help you out and maybe even make a video about it if it's a bigger topic that a lot of people are confused about. And without that, enjoy your holidays. Thanks so much for being with me in this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!